Good morning, friends. My name is Deborah Gray Boyd, and my pronouns are she, they. I am happy to serve this congregation as treasurer and an ex officio member of your board of trustees. I am a white, middle-aged woman with short, shoulder-length brown hair and blue ensemble this morning, and I'm wearing a mask because I'm protecting you, just in case. As part of our services here at First Unitarian Universalist, our speakers provide a brief visual description of ourselves to increase our inclusivity and welcome people with visual impairments and for anyone online instead of watching. Welcome. If this is your first time here, we have a first-time visitor gift at the greeters table. And to learn more, find a member of our community waiting for you in Beach Hall at the Getting to Know UU table. You can use the QR code on the screen to access a digital version of our order of service and find our donation page, as well as sign in so that we know you're here with us. Whether you are a first-timer or you have been coming since before we renamed Beach Hall, we invite you to come chat with us after the service to learn more about who we are and what we believe here at First UU. Please find me and another member of the Board of Trustees in Beach Hall after the service, where we are happy to talk all things church. I'd like to invite everyone to please take a moment and put your cell phones in worship mode. We have a few announcements this morning. The brand new What Matters exhibit is on display now in the Worship Center and the gallery. Enjoy the art of 28 UU members and friends about what matters to us from now through October 14th. From nature, peace, family, joy, and more, we raise our visual voices. Take time to view this exhibit and reflect on what matters to you. The Justice Action Ministry, or JAM, team needs leaders, organizers, and workers to show up for democracy this fall. Sign up at the JAM table in Beach Hall to learn how you can participate in voter outreach, election protection, and more. As civil rights icon John Lewis said, speak up, speak out, get in the way. Get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. If you enjoy singing, there are several opportunities for you to sing in community. Every Wednesday, you can join the Sacred Song Circle here at church, and both the Chalice and Spirit of Life choirs will start rehearsals the last week in August. Please find a choir member and learn how you might get involved. Labor Day retreat is just around the corner on August the 31st. It's down in Hocking Hills, and it is not too late. This is an amazing opportunity for our community to gather and be with one another for longer than an hour on Sunday morning, to deepen our connections and grow in community. So please, again, stop in Beach Hall. Are you catching this theme? There might be a couple of things going on in Beach Hall after the service. Just saying. Please sign up. There are many of us who are going, and we would like for you to come with us. Now we invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 298, in the gray hymnal and on the screen.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Kelly McNeil. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as your minister of congregational life. I am a white woman in her mid-30s with long dark hair and purple glasses. For those of you who might not know, I am back from my case of mono, but you will probably see me sitting more often, wearing a mask more often as I try and get that energy back from this wonderful disease. We begin this service by acknowledging that we gather on land stolen from the Wyandotte, Miami, Seneca, Erie, Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed from Ohio. We support the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio and their Land Back NACO campaign, and we know that we have more to do as a community to be in solidarity and true relationship with this land and those indigenous to it.
Hello. My name is the Reverend Meg McGuire, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm grateful to serve as an affiliated community minister of this congregation. I am a white woman in my mid-30s with short blonde hair, wearing a green shirt, and the beautiful stole made by Deb Balliol that was a gift from this congregation. It's so good to be here with you today. Let us enter into the spirit of worship with these words by Richard S. Gilbert. We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and the pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbors, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and this space, for we meet on holy ground. Let us rise now in body or spirit while our children meet Amber in the back to prepare to bring in the light. I invite you to turn to your neighbors to introduce yourself.
May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us.
Thank you, Elliot, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I'm a white femme millennial with long, chaotic, wavy brown hair, and I am wearing a blue t-shirt that reads, "You, the vote." Today's story is called Happy, a beginner's book of mindfulness, written by Nicola Edwards and illustrated by Katie Hickey. Mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about connecting with ourselves and the world around us. Let's take a journey together to discover some simple steps on the path to happiness. Real life is right under our noses. We can miss it by rushing around. But stopping to smell life's sweet roses is where true happiness can be found. Listening. When we're still, there's space to listen to the sweet song of wind in the trees, the gruff rumble of cars in the distance, or the whisper of rustling leaves. Take a moment to stop and really listen to the sounds around you. Feeling. Even the darkest storm passes. The sun can't shine bright every day. We can sit with our feelings and notice how they roll through us, then blow away. What kinds of things make you feel happy? Relaxing. It's not just our minds we get trapped in. Our bodies can feel tension too. We can loosen our limbs when that happens. Like the sun from the clouds, we break through. Try tensing up all of your muscles and then relaxing them one by one. Tasting. Whether hot, salty, sweet, or sour, we taste and we chew and we feel. If we slow when we eat, we can savor the deliciousness of every meal. Do you notice different textures and flavors when you chew your food slowly? Touching. Touch calms the wildest emotions. We connect to the world all around when we dip our toes into the ocean or crisp and crunch golden leaves on the ground. Close your eyes and see if you can tell what things are just by touching them. Discovering. Exploring is one of life's pleasures. Spot a penny, a shell, or a babbling brook. The world's brimming with curious treasures for the people who take time to look. Look all around you and try to spot something you haven't noticed before. Smelling. When we're all tangled up in our worries, the cool air gets us grounded again. Wood smoke through the sharp tang of pine trees, or the freshness of earth after rain. Do the things you can smell make you feel anything or bring back any memories? Loving. The warmth of a hug can work wonders. Being happy is something you feed with a smile or a touch or a kindness. Even the tallest tree grows from a seed. Have you given someone a smile or a hug today? Appreciating. It feels good to give thanks at the day's end for the pink blushing sky overhead, a hot meal, comfy shoes, or a good friend, and the warmth of a soft, cozy bed. What good things have happened in your world today? Breathing. We breathe deep and expand like the galaxy. We breathe out many thousands of stars. And if we ever start to feel panicky, this reminds us of just who we are. Take a deep breath, hold it for 2 seconds, and then breathe out very slowly. Happiness. Real life is right under our noses. It's what's here, not the future or the past. Every day is a fresh, new adventure. Now we live in the moment at last. How can you be more mindful each and every day? The end. As some of you may know, there is a Zen meditation group that meets in our building on Saturday mornings, and occasionally we have other activities in the building that might involve children. And usually when we talk to them about, oh, should we be quiet while you're here, they say, oh no, it helps us practice to not be distracted and to return to our meditation if there are children in the hallway. So today, all of you got that as well. As we consider how our children have the inherent gift of being present in the present, I would like everyone else to consider what strategies you like to use to connect with the present. Remain seated with hands over your hearts as we sing From You I Receive, number 402 in the gray hymnal, to sing our beloved children back to their families and out to class.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Our Share the Plate recipient for August is the Church on Oakland Park, where they believe in God's economy of abundance and trust that there is more than enough for all of us when we are committed to caring for one another. The Church on Oakland Park hosts a drive-through food pantry from their parking lot every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. This Wednesday food pantry provides food to over 300 families a week. It is located in South Linden, and those who volunteer are a diverse group of people from many races and faith communities, many of whom have also received food from the pantry. Volunteers from First UU are welcome any Wednesday. Please scan the QR code, text the number on the screen, or place a donation in the basket. Your gifts will now be gratefully received.
We take time each Sunday to hold the significant joys and concerns within our community. And this morning, we do not have any caring cards per se, but we do have a pastoral care listener, which is Pat Snyder. I don't know if you're here, Pat, and want to wave. Oh, there's Pat Snyder. And you're invited to visit the caring table in Beach Hall after the service to say hi to our amazing caring team. Even still, this is a time to hold the depth and range of our lives together, knowing that in this gathered community, even when there are no caring cards, there are always little joys, struggles, ongoing grief, both individual and shared. So may we honor the fullness that is our lives together as we enter into a time of contemplation and shared silence. Let this be a time to more fully inhabit this moment before us. Imperfect, painful even, and also precious and full of possibility. A time to give thanks for the steady beating of our hearts, for each breath flowing in and out, for the ordinary gifts of this day. Let this be a time to hold with tenderness the struggles that touch each of us uniquely. A time to reconnect to the good in our lives, in this life we share. A time to listen for the wisdom within us and beyond us. Let this be a time to rest in this place, in one another, and in the love that holds us all. Please remain seated and join me in a sung meditation, hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our reading this morning is entitled Surrender. Surrender to This Life by Gretchen Haley. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past, forgive the future, for each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight, if only we keep waking up. This is the gift we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it all, giving thanks together.
What a gift. Thank you. So there is a ride. I think it's a pretty standard feature at carnivals and amusement parks that is very aptly named the Scrambler. There was a Scrambler at our own Wyandotte Lake Park. I'm hoping someone here knows what I'm talking about. Is this, yeah? Okay. For the rest of us who have not yet encountered the Scrambler, it looks something like a genetically engineered spider. So there's a series of arms coming out of a center console, and then at the end of each arm is 4 or 5 cars, each of which can hold 2 or 3 riders. And when the ride begins, the center console spins in one direction, and each of the arms spins in the other direction. That's pretty hard to do. It is beloved only by the most strong-stomached among us because the effect is actually even more chaotic than it sounds. Riders go careening one way, often feeling as though you're imminently about to crash into another car or the wall before suddenly being yanked in a new direction altogether. And that continues for several minutes. It may be turning your stomach just hearing about it. But importantly, the Scrambler doesn't take riders upside down. It doesn't go particularly high or even particularly fast. It's thrilling and nauseating for an entirely different reason, which is that it thoroughly disorients you to where you have been and where you are going at any given moment. And it is a human need, I think, certainly physiologically, but also spiritually, to have a sense of orientation, of where we have come from and where we are going. This second piece, the need to orient to where we are going, has been particularly on my mind recently, as following the events around the world, and certainly here on the national stage, has felt a lot like riding the Scrambler. My sense of where we are collectively headed feels almost unrecognizable from what it did a month ago when I started thinking about this service. So to take up this question, I'll ask for your grace as we do a little bit of theology, tracing the lineages that Unitarian Universalism draws from, both with its gifts and its limitations, and ultimately one possible alternative for orienting ourselves aboard the Scrambler that is these times. So in systematic theology, reflections on where we are going have a fancy name. They fall under the branch of eschatology. Eschatos meaning last, and logos meaning word or words about. And under the umbrella of last or final things are questions of our ultimate hopes, of where we're going, or simply the horizon toward which our lives are oriented. And of course, just like the questions about where we come from, our sense of where we're going has a profound shaping impact in the present. It shapes what this moment means, what it asks from us, the purpose of it. Now, I expect that in a room of Unitarian Universalists, there are many unique answers or relationships to these questions. We certainly don't have theological homogeneity, past or present, and that's one of our great strengths. However, we do inherit and emerge out of a theological tradition with a legacy that shapes our present and the meaning that we make together today. I can't resist paraphrasing the now viral words of Vice President Kamala Harris when she offered this image. The expression of Unitarian Universalism that we know today did not fall out of a coconut tree. I'm glad some of you know that. It exists in the context of all that came before us. So to position ourselves within all that came before us, briefly. The progressive eschatologies that we find in our inheritance made a pretty big shift from many religious traditions wherein the emphasis is on a world beyond this one, whether that be the afterlife, the coming of a Messiah that would bring about the end of times, or a final day of judgment. In contrast to that, progressive eschatologies shift the focus from the world beyond this one to this world, right here. And we inherit many aspects of the social gospel movement of Protestant Christianity, wherein the purpose of this life is to bring about the kingdom of God here on earth, realizing a vision of justice, equity, and peace for all people. This was grounded in the prophetic books of the Hebrew Bible and had a shaping influence on many social movements, influencing visionary leaders like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and his vision of the promised land, the mountaintop, the beloved community. All of these dreams that could be realized someday through our faithful work now. Our Universalist forebears actually advocated a very similar end by way of a slightly different path, proclaiming that God's fundamental nature is love for all humanity, and that ultimately through this love, all people would be saved. And this perspective had profound social implications, encouraging its advocates to better reflect the transformative love of one another and to begin that process toward redemption and collective salvation in this life. You can trace these lineages, I imagine you can hear this, into current Unitarian Universalism. We may not use that same language, but those themes are still present. You can hear it in the ways we describe ourselves. Think of the values and covenant of the new Article 2, wherein we declare that all people have a right to flourish, and covenant to build a world where that is possible, where our interdependence is more deeply felt and more fully realized, where we have repaired harm and damaged relationships, embraced our differences with love and curiosity, and dismantled oppression in all its forms. It's a beautiful vision. You can hear it in our hymns. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken, where justice shall roll down like waters. We'll take one more step until there is peace for us and everyone. And of course, you can feel it in the work of this church and the work that we do in the world. If you'd asked me when I bridged as a youth what I learned from being raised UU here in this congregation, I would have characterized the curriculum of our life together by these shared values, by the vision of the world we can create, and by the emphasis on the work that is ours to do. And these lessons really did shape my path forward, as I think they do many of our young people in different ways. For some years, I worked as a labor organizer with a large established union in New York City. And my work, like much organizing, was built around campaigns. In this case, specific drives to organize a union or to win a contract with protections and wage increases. The campaigns were often demanding, and I regularly found myself in our headquarters in Midtown with half a dozen other young organizers hours after the sun had set. We'd snack on the unexciting pretzel sticks that were the only amenity in the budget and commiserate about the demands of our work, even though secretly I think many of us really reveled in the pace and the purpose of those pushes. Even with the long hours, the promise of victory was an intoxicating motivator, that in addition to the pretzel sticks and large quantities of coffee, the promise of progress toward a better world sustained us, at least for a time. A few years into the work, the pace and cycle of those campaigns was wearing on me. and most of my colleagues. We'd weathered some losses, and even more difficult, a few intractable campaigns with no end in sight. Meanwhile, we were starting to feel increasingly uncomfortable with the tendency in ourselves and in the organization to so readily sacrifice the present for the future good, which didn't always come. Many of us wondered what we were missing with our attention so focused on an imagined victory down the line, and watching so many of us leave burnt out, exhausted, and sometimes much more cynical than we began. I wondered whether heartfelt ideals and the promise of victory were a sturdy enough foundation to sustain hope and action in a long-haul way. Even now, years after I left that work, these questions still feel very pressing to me. What do we do when the going gets tough? What do we do when justice is denied or when our efforts fall short? What do we do when progress doesn't seem to be happening in a sweeping linear arc we like to imagine that it does, or when it feels like we're moving backward? I don't know about you, but I have had plenty of moments where those questions have felt really alive in recent years. And as much as I hope those will not be the questions of our future, I know that we live in uncertain times. And I know that we need community to lean on as we move through times of joy and celebration, and also moments of fear and despair. I think that part of our task as a religious community is to share and strengthen the theological and practical tools that we need to weather uncertainty, disappointment, disruption, and loss, and to sustain our spirits through all of it. Our vision and our commitment to the world we can create will continue to serve us well. But there are some limitations to that future orientation. Living in the tension between what is and what could be can be exhausting. And in fixing our gaze into the future, we run the risk of missing what is happening right here, as our story reminded us, in this real life right under our nose. Rebecca Parker, a Unitarian Universalist and United Methodist minister, former president of Starr King School for the Ministry, which is one of our 2 UU theological schools, offers a different way to think about where we are going. She calls this a radically realized eschatology, and without getting tripped up on those words, it just suggests that the horizon we are oriented to need not be some imagined better world, but could instead be this world that we already have, right here and right now. Just as our theological ancestors moved attention from a life beyond this one to this life, Parker advocates a similar move, shifting our attention from a hypothetical future, however inspiring that vision may be, to the world of the present, the only world we are really promised. This begins by affirming that we are already on holy ground. It invites us to look compassionately at the world that we share, deepening our reverence for life and our gratitude for the gifts that we have. But importantly, affirming that we are already on holy ground does not mean this life is utopic, far from it. It does not mean we ought to bypass the pain of the present for some whitewashed likeness with only the good things. Instead, abiding deeply with what is may actually deepen our capacity to attend to suffering. I've learned this as a hospital chaplain. Resisting the jump toward a future hope is one of the most important things to actually be present to someone's pain. A radically realized eschatology invites us to linger in the present, that we might better apprehend it all, hearing the cries, feeling the suffering, and sitting in the struggle, present to all of it. As Gretchen Haley offered in our reading, we turn toward this life, this day, this hour even, not because it does not constantly break our hearts, but because it also beckons with beauty and startles with delight if we can only keep waking up. This is the gift that we have been given. Grounded in this gift, we can cultivate what Parker describes as a responsive hope, shifting from a hope of what could be for a better world to come to a responsive hope that what is good in this life will be treated with care and justice, and what is harmed can be repaired. Hope that is grounded in respect for what is here now. So when we find ourselves scrambled, which we will, may we reorient ourselves to this moment, right here and now, this incredible gift we've been given. In the heartbreak and the joy of it, may we find the sustenance that sustains hope and faithful action, moment by moment. And may we remember that even if we cannot yet know where we are going there together. And we have everything we need right here. May it be so. I'll invite y'all to stand, and Nathan has graciously agreed to lead us in a song that is not in our hymnal, but is pretty simple, called Right Here. So, thank you, Nathan. You can stand.
We traveled long, we traveled far to be right here where we are. Reach out a hand, no need to fear, 'cause all we need is right here. All we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. The night it was dark, but the day is bright. Together we can lift our eyes to all we love and hold dear, 'cause all we need is right here. All we
I will close us with a benediction I learned from my mentor, the Reverend Vanessa Rush Southern. And so may the light of love surround us, come out from within us, be gracious unto us, and grant us peace. For this is the day we've been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I invite you to join me in our unison chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Go in peace.